Okay, so check this out. There'll be nobody else on earth to show you this. Here we have 4 different mounts. We have a Canon mount. We have a Nikon mount. This is the pot metal Sony mount, which I made a video on, which actually is literally pot metal. And this is the Fuji mount. I actually got sent a Fuji camera. Here it is, taking it apart. All Fuji mounts are the same. Doesn't matter whether it's so far as modern digital Fujis, they're all the exact same mount. Fuji copied the Canon mount. It's actually machined stainless steel. You can also see back here, let me show you. This is a chrome plated bronze alloy. This is the Nikon. You actually see this is recessed for deformation. You can actually see the bronze underneath the chrome plating right there. So these are the lens mounts. Okay. Now, while I can't do a Rockwell hardness test, I can tell you something. That, using a known entity, which is just a regular Swiss Army blade, I can actually test the deformation and hardness of the stainless on these mount rings, and I can unequivocally say that the toughest, are you listening closely? The toughest lens mount ring is the Fuji. This stuff is tougher than woodpecker lips. I actually had to bust an elbow, not literally, but bust an elbow to cause this, and testing the Canon was incredibly easy. There are 1,000 different grades of stainless steel. I mean, you don't have to be a metallurgist to understand. I can't even remember, there's something like 11,000 different registered aluminum alloys. Stainless is almost nearly as bad. So, from worst to best, the absolute worst is the Sony mount. Literally, and I made a video some time ago. This breaks like a cracker. It's absolute junk pot metal. This is the Sony mount. So that's the worst. And Nikon took a different strategy. Actually, the Canon mount and the Nikon mount, it's almost tough to say. They took a different strategy. Fuji copied from Canon, but they used a better grade of stainless. To say whether the Nikon is better than the Canon, Nikon went with a bronze base alloy, and they also used a recessing, the same sort of forming geometry that's used in car shells, where strength is increased by causing geometry. You can actually, for example, if you actually stick ripples in a piece of sheet steel, it's a lot tougher than just a piece of sheet steel itself by being flat. And so Nikon went with that technology. They have been with that technology. I knew about Nikon mounts forever. I've got dozens of them laying around here. This is stainless steel. It's actually cast stainless, but it's not as tough as Fuji. So the toughest mount here, by far, is certainly the Fuji mount. Also, you can count. Additionally, this is the thread depth on the Fuji mount. Here you can actually see it, and my pinky finger for basis of comparison. That's the thread depth on the Fuji mount. All Fuji mount screws are this length, and I don't know what the thread pitch is, but I mean it's typical of both Nikon, Canon, and Fuji. So there you go. I hope you like this video. Sony mount, total garbage. Nikon mount, Canon mount, but number one, not my opinion, is the Fuji mount. And this is the same mount. What do you got? An X-T1, X-T2, X Pro 2, it's the same mount. So, one mount for all of those different cameras, to be absolutely 100% certain. I can assure you of that. So, you can't say, well, that's an XM1. You know, what about the X Pro 2 mount? It's the same mount, all right? If you like this video, you drop me a buck or two. And this is the first time that you've seen that. So, Fujifilm, yay, we got the toughest mount. That's not to say that the Nikon's a shabby mount. I mean, this mount is designed to hold 70 to 200 millimeter 2.8 lenses. I mean, this is designed to actually, that's as large you would want to go so far as the lens hanging off of the mount and actually stripping the threads that actually mount into the chassis, or actually causing deformation. Absolute garbage is the Sony. There's no denying this. Like it, don't like it. These are the facts. Jack. Thank you so much for watching.